One of the first issues I tackled head-on was a row over judging at the Clandonald competition on Skye. The local press had been full of disconcerting noises from some of the competitors who were complaining about the result and the relationship between the winner and the judge. I saw it as the magazine's duty to point out a few home truths, as is my wont. Taking on board the Piper's comments, the contest convener had stated that the judge concerned should never be allowed to judge on Skye again. And I responded that he had no right to say such a thing, and that we'd had quite enough of Ayatollahs from the Isles, thank you very much. Needless to say, I got a degree of flack over that, but sometimes the truth hurts. Certain things have to be said, and no editor or magazine worth the name should shy away from saying them. You have to get used to being unpopular, and I can tell you that going up in front of a judge to play when your magazine or column may have been less than kind to him or his vested interest is not a route to success. This and other controversies aside, the PT has continued on its way, and I'm pleased to say the readership has never been higher. There is no question that the internet poses a threat to the print media, affecting advertising in particular. However, I do believe people will always want something tangible to read, something they can pick up and put down or throw at the dog at their leisure. You can't do that with a computer screen, not easily anyway. And the printed word will always have a value far superior to the ephemeral nature of cyberspace. There is no real accountability there, and much of what appears is here today, gone tomorrow. Now, I don't want to bore you too much with all the actual nuts and bolts of production, so I'll just give you a bare outline of what we do. Each month I start with a blank canvas, then place in the advertisements, the bulk of which have been booked in advance. I then allocate space to the usual features such as the crossword, the editorial, the diary, the notice board, letters, reviews and results. After that I have to keep 2 or 3 pages aside for news, and the rest has to be filled with features. And in selecting these, one must always strive to maintain a balance. Some readers would like nothing better than page after page of Pembroke analysis with appropriate references. Some would love nothing but pipe band gossip. Learners usually cry out for education-based pieces such as the Be a Better Piper column. Difficult, if not impossible though it is, you need to try to keep everyone happy. The Piping Times prides itself on being a magazine of record, meticulously logging the results from all the major competitions at Oban, Inverness and London, and carrying reports on performances and pictures of the winners when possible. Whatever you may think of the competition system, it is the main platform for piping and needs to be reported properly. Comments should be constructive, of course, and when they are, can be of use to the player, especially when there is no crit sheet to be had. In terms of piping photographs, we must have the biggest archive in the world. There are literally thousands of snaps, and they have now been catalogued by Jeannie and can be accessed very easily by computer. The first ever colour picture appeared in the PT of October 1979 and was of Seaton Gordon, Angus McPherson, Colonel Jock and Old Roddy MacDonald, all judging at Glenfinnan with a combined age at that time close on 350 years. And when that went in the magazine, I'm told we had lots of requests for copies of it. Colour didn't feature again for 8 years when John Hanning was on the front after he had won the gold medal at Oban. And we went full colour, however, in 2002. It's still very expensive, but the advertising and readership justifies the cost. The campaigning zeal continues, and the magazine was instrumental in getting the BBC to televise the World Pipe Band Championships. Readers responded to promptings by filling in our petition in their thousands, and from memory I think we got 6,000 or so names, which I handed into the BBC, and we were pleased to play our part in getting them to televise the Worlds, and as far as I'm aware they're going to continue to do that for some time in the future, and we now need to turn our attention to getting solo piping on television. The need to fill the magazine and on time is paramount, but not with any old waffle. In editing and writing myself, I try to follow the dictum of having something to say and saying it as simply as I can, never using 2 words when one will do. Someone who had this clear, concise style was David Murray. I recruited David as a regular columnist shortly after becoming editor. With him on side, I was guaranteed 3 or 4 pages each month of fascinating insight into the world of military piping and piping in the pre- and post-war eras. David's copy barely needed touched. He was an editor's dream, and when he retired last year, there were sighs all round. However, I'm proud of the fact that I managed to get so much information and history out of him, and it has all been recorded for posterity in the pages of the PT. One of his best columns concerned the phantom piper of the Corrieric. In it, David told how he and a party of 80 young soldiers, Ian McFadden included, went on a route march over the imposing pass. The weather was miserable, but the pipers played for most of the way until they were soaked through. They gave up. At one point, the mist was so thick that David dashed to the front of the column to make sure they were on track, only to discover the leading man, a hill shepherd in civilian life, following a line of ptarmigan along a barely discernible path. Suddenly the birds flew off, the mist broke, and there below lay the glen, their camp and safety. David takes up the story. We cleared the... I tried to do a David Murray impersonation. We cleared the snow line, we cleared the snow line, reached level ground, halted, ate our rations and had a quick roll call. Everyone was present and in good heart. Then it was a long slog back along the track to our camp at Garvamoor, Dreich going without any music. Eventually waiting for us at the camp were our drivers and cooks under Colour Sergeant Kearney, formerly a piper in the 2nd Camerons and a veteran of the Western Desert. To my surprise, everything was ready for us. Tea boiling, stew hot and ready to serve. Good show, I said. I knew you were coming. We heard the pipes coming down the glen, said Kearney. But we haven't played a note since the other side of the Corrieric. We heard the pipes, didn't we, lads? Said Kearney, turning to his men. Yes, we heard them coming down the glen, was the chorus from the assorted cooks and drivers. And I'm a piper too, said Kearney. I know the pipes when I hear them. I looked around. The rising wind had an eerie howl. I remembered Montrose and his phantom army. I thought of the birds that led us, armed men in kilts, over the pass. Well, as luck would have it, the camcorder ran out of space before I could conclude the recording of the talk. So I'm going to read you now the last few moments of the talk, just for the sake of the record, so we can get it all down on this DVD. Being the son of a fey Highland mother, I made up my mind fast. This was no place for us. My next order I had given only once before, during what might be called a readjustment of the tactical situation during the Battle of Kohima. Let's get the hell out of here. A great tale, and told in full much better than I can in David's June 2005 My Month column. This event was of course the inspiration behind John McClelland's excellent tune The Phantom Piper of the Corrieric. In years to come, there will be no dispute over the title or provenance of this tune. It's all there in black and white from the hand of someone who was there. So that brings me to the end of this talk. I hope you've enjoyed these reminiscences. I believe the Piping Times has an important part to play in piping and will continue to do so for many years to come. In closing, I want to thank Jeannie Campbell for all the research she did for me for this talk. As I already said, she herself has made a significant contribution to the magazine over the years, having her first article published almost 25 years ago. Thanks to you all for coming and for your continued support for the magazine. And I'd now like to ask Stuart and Ian to return to the platform so that you can show your appreciation of their superb piping.